Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about creating your highest self. So this is basically going to be a blueprint to your higher self. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I'm doing a mini series called The Empowered Shift, which is literally 6 weeks to creating a better you. And basically I'm going to cover everything in this video. Now you can take what you want from this video, you can make it applicable to you, but the first thing that I want you to do is to be super clear on what you actually want. Okay, so I've got my laptop here just for some little notes and stuff. So if you see me looking down, that is why. But the goal of this kind of like blueprint is basically to get you to a position where you know exactly what you need to do and how to do it so that you can create your best self. Now, how your best self looks, who your higher self is going to be completely dependent on you. And that's why it's really important that you're super clear on what you want. So I don't just want you to think like, oh, I want fat loss. You don't just want fat loss. You could wake up tomorrow with fat loss, but you're not going to feel any different because you haven't learned anything. You haven't discovered anything. You haven't changed anything about yourself that's actually going to make you feel better. So a lot of people say, I want fat loss, but actually what they want is to feel confident in their own skin. What they want is to not pinch their rolls when they sit down. And then if they don't have that, that then means that they're going to be maybe able to enjoy social occasions more freely, or they're going to be able to enjoy meals out without kind of questioning it or worrying that they're going to be stuck in a binge restrict cycle later on, or, you know, little things like that. So those are the things that you actually want, not fat loss. You want what you think fat loss is going to give you. So I want you to get so specific on what you want that if someone was to play you in a film, they would know exactly what to do and what to say. Because once you know what you want, you can then bridge that gap. So specifics. How does life look for you if you have these things? If you have this goal, if you achieve this goal, how can you measure it? If nothing was off limits, time, money, energy, fear, what would your ideal / dream life look like in 6 months? So that's the what. What do you want? How do you want life to look? And then why? What would it change for you? Is that in line with your higher self? How would you show up differently if you achieved it? How would it change things for those around you? And then identity. Who do you need to become to achieve those goals? And what I mean by this is if you are someone who is currently kind of thinking, yeah, like I want that, but I'm not really sure. Like, yeah, I want that, but I don't really think I can get there. And you're in that identity of someone who doesn't really get what she wants. You're not going to get to those goals. So who do you need to be and show up as and act like and become in order to get to those goals? How does she act? How does she show up? How does she walk? How does she talk? What do her routines look like? What does she do daily, weekly? What does she do when things get tough? How does she respond when things get tough? What sort of mindset does she have? What version of you are you becoming? What is currently keeping you stuck? Is it yourself? Is it your routines? Is it self-sabotage? Is it your mindset? Is it your beliefs? When you doubt yourself, what voice creeps in? And what is this part of you trying to achieve? If there's a voice that creeps in going, we're not going to be able to do this, it's because that part of you is trying to keep you safe. Yeah, so it's always a positive intention. Maybe it is trying to keep you safe. What is the fear behind that? So for example, I had a client who started sabotaging on her fat loss goals, and when we dug into it even more, it was because she was sabotaging it because she had a fear that if she continued to see progress, she was going to then have to give up the things that she enjoyed the most. So consciously, she was like, yes, I want fat loss. Subconsciously, she was like, no, I don't. Think really deep with this as well. If you say you want more confidence, what does it actually mean for you? How does that actually look on your body or in your actions or in your behaviors? What mindset shifts do you need to make? What current habits are you doing that align with those goals and support those goals? Which of your habits do not align with these goals? What routines do you need to make or break in alignment with your goals? And then also look at why have your previous attempts not worked? Has something fell out of alignment? Has it felt unsustainable? And then also think about what will it cost you to stay where you are? You wouldn't be watching this video unless you wanted to make a change. So what will it cost you to stay where you are? Okay, so I feel like I'm doing an interview. If you were to take action today, right now, what is one small but powerful action that you can commit to every single day that you're going to start this week that is in alignment with those goals and in alignment with stepping into your best self? This could literally be something as simple as, okay, I'm going to start turning my phone off 30 minutes before bed and not doom scrolling, because realistically, I'm pretty confident that that best version of you and that higher self version of you doesn't doom scroll, doesn't sit on her phone and waste her time and procrastinate. So that could be a small action that you could make that's quite easy to implement. You can implement it no problem, that you can do every single day. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to become, the more natural it's going to feel, the more part of your routine it's going to feel. But what's also going to happen is you're going to build your confidence. You're going to build your trust that you're doing the things that you say you're going to do. So what obstacles may also make this a little bit more difficult for you, and how will you respond differently this time? How will you respond to those obstacles? So that's also really, really important. Something that I always do with my clients when we sit down in our first Kickstart call and we run through their goals, the next 6 months, what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. We also run through the obstacles that are going to come up along the way. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Literally choking on thin air. I think I'm coming down with something. And we look at the obstacles that may come up and how we can respond to this. What can we do? How, can we maybe prep ahead of time? Can we, maybe put things in place to make life easier when those obstacles do arise? The more that you can kind of be prepared, the easier your life will be. And again, who do you need to become to achieve this? Once you know what you want, what it means, you can then start to take action in alignment with this. You can start to build discipline. You can start to build consistency versus just relying on motivation, because you know why you're doing it. You know what it truly means. And then you can start showing up as that version of you. Because to become that version of you, you have to literally be her. You're not just going to wake up one day being her. You have to be her, act like her, walk like her, talk like her, have the same mindset as her, think like she does. You have to do all of these things and be her in order to create her, because you get to decide how good it gets to be. You really do. You get to decide what you achieve. Okay, so now you are super clear on your goals, we're going to chat a little bit more about nutrition, because I think nutrition is something that is very much overcomplicated in social media, but it is also something that people only talk about nutrition in terms of fat loss. Nutrition isn't really spoken about in terms of like, okay, but I actually just want to feel my best self. So first things first, if you are looking at losing fat, you have to be in a calorie deficit, which essentially means you are burning more calories than you are consuming, or you're consuming less calories than you're burning. Yeah, so that's what you need to do to be in a calorie deficit and lose body fat. If you want to maintain, you need to eat the same as you're burning or burn the same as you're eating. And if you are looking more so at being in a surplus, maybe gaining muscle, gaining weight, whatever your goals are, you obviously have to be in a surplus. So you have to be consuming more calories than you're burning or burning less calories than you're consuming. That's that. That is all I'm going to touch upon in terms of a calorie deficit. Yeah, that's literally it. Because what I'm going to focus on more is going to be the actual quality of your nutrition, actually fueling your body and what your body needs. So no matter what your goals, the aim of your nutrition is to fuel your body, to energize it so you can live your life to the fullest and give your body all the goodness that it needs to thrive. Yeah. So if you look back at those goals that you just set, if you look back at your what, your why, and your how, I guarantee that in line with that, you also want to fuel your body. You want to feel your best. You want to thrive, and your nutrition is going to be a big, big tick in order to get there. So we all know the saying that you are what you eat, and it is so, so true. If your diet consists of a lot of highly processed, calorie-dense foods, you're probably going to not feel great. You're probably going to feel a little bit lethargic, yeah? Whereas if your diet consists of a lot of whole foods, a lot of protein, a lot of goodness, a lot of nutrients, you are going to feel good. I will put a calorie calculator in the caption just for anyone who wants it. But like I said, I'm going to be focusing on actual nutrition. So regardless of your goals, the simplest way to ensure that you're giving your body all the goodness that it needs is by following this simple meal structure. So first things first, in every single meal, you want to have one protein source that is roughly the size of your palm. You want to have one carb source that is roughly the size of your fist. You want to have a big handful of nutrients, and you also want to have a source of healthy fats that is roughly the size of your thumb. If you do these things within, I would say 80% of your meals, you're going to be ensuring that you're giving your body the goodness that it needs. You're going to be giving it the protein for recovery, for hormones, for muscle building. You're going to be giving it the carbs that it needs for energy. You're going to be giving it the goodness that it needs to give your body all the micronutrients that it needs to thrive. And of course, implementing this means planning. So if you are someone who doesn't currently plan their meals, this is, again, a really, 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 really important place to start. Because if you are not planning your meals, you are making your life a million times harder for yourself. You're giving yourself that opportunity to fall victim to decision fatigue every single day, and that is not what we want. That is not how that highest version of you shows up. I know that. So what I want to do first things first is literally start planning your meals. Now, again, look at, okay, how can I make life easier for myself? If you are someone who is very much on the go, you need quick things. If you are someone who's very busy, maybe you need to double up on meals so that you then have like 2 days worth of meals. If you are someone who is super duper busy and you haven't got time to cook, maybe you need to start doing some meal prep. Yes, you need to have a look at all these things and take all of this into account. The easiest way to plan, genuinely, is literally write down all the days of the week in your notes on your phone. And then all you're going to do is write down a meal for each. To start off with, literally just write down your favorite meals, okay? It doesn't have to be complicated. You can make the same meal twice, whatever, okay? And then underneath that, you're going to write a list of all of your favorite meals. And you can add to this list as many times as you want. So I have had my list years and I still go back to it now. I still plan my meals in exactly the same way, because then all you need to do when you're then planning your meals is literally go through that list and be like, what do I fancy? And another easy thing to do then is also look at, okay, let's say you're having a chicken flatbread for lunch. If you want to completely change that meal without really giving yourself any more work, you could change the carb source. You could then have chicken pasta. You could have chicken and rice. You could have a chicken sandwich. So again, you're keeping the protein source the same, you're changing the carb source, and it's going to change the whole meal. You could also have a chicken flatbread and you could change the protein source. So you could have turkey, you could have chicken sausages. Again, you're only changing one thing, but you're completely changing kind of the meal itself. Yeah, so again, don't overcomplicate things. I would write down a list of your days of the week, a list of your favorite meals, add them into each day. And then when you're looking at kind of, planning the next week or the week after, look at changing a certain source, carb source, protein source, nutrient source in each meal so that you can literally make life as easy for yourself as possible. Okay, so we have macronutrients, which are the food groups that you need lots of. So these are your carbs, your proteins, and your fat. And then we also have your micronutrients, which are the things that you need a lot less of, but they're still very, very important. You just need them in smaller quantities. So carbs, obviously the body's main energy source. Proteins are made up of amino acids, and amino acids are the building blocks of all tissues within your body. So I'm not just talking about muscle, but like your heart is a muscle. Your hair, your nails, they all require protein. And then obviously your fats. So fats allow your body to absorb fat-soluble vitamins, which are A, D, E, and K. And they also play a role in improving cholesterol levels and inflammation as well. They are also a source of energy for your body, and they're involved in different functions within the body. So including things like hormone production and the structure of cell membranes, things like that. So it's really, really important, again, that you include all these things in your diet. So then we have micronutrients. So these obviously have a huge impact on your body in the way that it functions. If you are deficient in anything, obviously that can portray itself in a number of different ways. So when we talk about, micronutrients, we're talking about things like your vitamins, your minerals, because these are all needed within the body to keep you thriving, keep you functioning, keep you healthy. Obviously, they enable the body to produce enzymes, produce hormones. They improve your well-being. They are involved in so many different processes in the body, so they really, really are essential. And obviously, don't forget your water intake as well, because that's also really, really important for your digestion, for your hydration, for your nutrient absorption, and for performance as well. So in terms of nutrition, again, make life easy for yourself, okay? Now, the biggest thing with all of these things when making any sort of change is do not make something mean something about you. If you miss a day and you don't stick to your meal structure, maybe you have a completely wild day and you have to pick up something from a supermarket last minute, or maybe you just pick up a McDonald's. That doesn't mean anything about you. So don't let it mean something about you. Don't let it then mean that you're then just gonna not plan your dinner or you're just gonna give up. Yeah, in the same way as I always say to my clients, you can miss a day. You can miss a day, you can miss a habit, but do not let that one day become two, because when one day becomes two, it becomes a lot easier to then become three, become four. The thing with nutrition is you don't need to give 100% of the time, and this is the same with everything. Some days you're literally going to have 10% to give, but if you give that 10%, you have given 100%. Expecting to be perfect, especially with the nutrition, is only going to leave you disheartened. The whole point of nutrition is that you fuel your body to thrive, for energy, to feel good, but you also enjoy meals out. You also enjoy eating, let's be honest, junk food. You enjoy eating things that are not nutritious for you because they, let's be honest, again, taste some of the best. Expecting to be perfect is only going to leave you disheartened and feeling like a failure, because the all or nothing mindset is bullshit. There is a middle ground, and that is where you are going to be your happiest. It's honestly not that deep. It's not that deep. I say this all the time to my clients with so many different things. These things will only impact you if you let them. A higher calorie day will only impact you if you then let it dictate the actions that you take, like moving forward. Missing a workout is only going to have an impact if you then let that decide that you're then not going to do any other workouts, or you're going to give half-assed effort for a different workout. When you do something that isn't perfect, that is fine. You literally just need to carry on as normal. And again, the more you do this, the more you train your brain to break that all or nothing cycle. So again, when making changes, it's really important to build on them. So if you are looking at changing your nutrition, first things first, I want you to focus on two little small tweaks that you can make. This could be adding a protein source into one meal a day. This could be drinking another 500 ml of water a day. This could be adding a nutrient source to your dinner. This can be literally whatever you want, but the most important thing is that you implement it and then you can build on it. So you implement those 2 changes consistently every single day, or 80% of the time. And then when they feel more natural, you then add another one in, or you build on them further. And the more you do this, the easier these things are going to become. Yeah, the reason that no one has ever seen progress from just suddenly dropping their calories to 1200 and expecting to eat salad is because it literally will last a week before you give up, because it is unsustainable. Yes, if you are looking at making a change, obviously maybe the numbers will be different, but I also really want you to focus on the quality of your nutrition. And remember, there is no good or bad food. There is a place for everything. Okay, so then looking at habits and routines. Now, these are without doubt the thing that's going to get you to your goals. These are the things that will make or break your journey. They'll make or break your goals. So what I want you to firstly do is literally write down a list of things that you do every single day. So your habits. Do you have nutrition habits? Do you have water habits? Do you have a routine in the morning? Do you have a routine in work? Do you have a routine in the evening? Do you have habits when it comes to movement, when it comes to steps? Literally write down everything that you're currently doing. Pause this video, write it down, because what we are then going to do is look at, okay, well, that version of you who has achieved those goals that you've set at the beginning, what do her routines look like? What do her habits look like? And then we can bridge that gap, yeah? So if you can see that, for example, that future vision of you, she gets up at 7 a.m. every single morning and she goes for a walk by 7:30. If you are currently getting up at 8 o'clock and you're all and you're jumping straight into work, you then know that that's something we need to change, yeah? Same with nutrition. If you are someone who you want to be eating 3 whole meals a day to aid your digestion, to feel good, to get enough protein in, but currently you are maybe not planning your nutrition, you're relying on meal deals, you're relying on kind of ready meals, then again, that is something that you need to change. So again, it's really important to look at, okay, where am I at now and where am I going to be? Okay, so that's the thing I want you to do. I want you to write down where you are now and where you want to be, and then we're going to look at how we can bridge that gap. And again, it doesn't need to be complicated. Okay, so you can write down your habits, and then you can also write down your routines if you want to as well. If you don't have any routines, that's fine. But if you do have routines, it's worth writing them down, again, just so you can see kind of okay, what tweaks do I actually need to make? So for example, again, if you wanted it, start getting up at 8 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock, or, things like that, it's just really, really important to kind of know exactly what you want to change. Then you can literally make, again, like I just said about building things up, 1 to 2 small tweaks to each of those areas. So again, the most important thing is that you build and you pick 1 or 2 things to start with, because I always think of it like this. If you are, let's just say you want fat loss, and you go into a fat loss phase, you drop your calories, you increase your cardio, you increase your steps, you increase your training, you then look at your sleep, you look at your stress, you look at your water, all of those things, if you're not currently doing them, are going to be quite overwhelming. But if you already do steps, you already do movement, you already prioritize protein, you already prioritize nutrition, you already manage your sleep, those things are going to be so much easier because you're not starting from scratch. You're literally just building on what you're already doing. Once you know what habits you want to change and where you want to get them to, we can then start literally writing down the changes that you are going to make. And you can plan this ahead of time as well. Again, this is something that I do with a lot of my clients. So what I want you to do is literally go, right, every single area. So let's look at nutrition. Then let's look at your movement. Let's look at your sleep, your stress management, your water, all of these different things. Where are you at now? What habits do you currently have? And where do you want to be? And then I want you to pick 2 areas. I want you to pick 1 habit in each area. So that could be, for example, like I said, with your sleep. Maybe you don't currently have a sleep routine. Maybe you just go to bed whenever. So that could be the first thing that you can change, is looking at, okay, well, actually, in order to get enough sleep and make sure that I'm getting enough sleep and I'm, having enough time to recover, I'm going to start going to bed at 10:30 every single night, so I can be asleep by 11. So when I wake up at 7, I've got had 8 hours sleep. Again, write it down, because the more you write it down, the more it will literally go into your brain. You can see it in black and white, and then you can work out how to implement it. So you can do this with your habits and with your routines as well. And honestly, I cannot emphasize how important this is, because you are a product of your daily habits. You literally are. Your daily habits create you. So in order to build a habit, this is based on the habit loop. So the habit loop is essentially the way that habits are built and habits are broken. Okay, so in order to build a habit, you need 4 stages. You need the cue, which triggers your brain to initiate your habit, so it kind of notices the reward. You then need the craving, which is the natural response to the hint that you could get a reward from the cue. So that's the like wanting the reward. You then have the response, which is the action itself. So that's the actual habit. Whether the response occurs will depend on obviously how motivated you are and how much effort it will take. So that's obviously the obtaining of the reward. And then you also have the reward, obviously, which is the reward, and it drives the loop. So in order to build a habit, we need to make the cue obvious. So that could be something like setting out your gym clothes. If obviously like early morning gym is a habit that you're trying to build, we need then a craving. So you need to kind of make it attractive. So that could be kind of, you know, maybe having, I don't know, a coffee after your workout. It could be going to a really nice gym. It could be, you know, having like a really nice gym outfit that you can't wait to wear. Make it attractive. And you have the response, make it easy. So this could be something, for example, like having a workout plan, or, you know, with nutrition, having a nutrition plan. So you don't really have to think about it. It's literally that you can just go and do it. It's easy. And then reward. So make it satisfying. So again, this could be literally something as simple as like, okay, I'm just going to tick that off. I'm going to tick that off on my phone, or I'm going to tick it off my to-do list. Like, I personally love that. Or, you know, once you've done a certain amount of things, maybe giving yourself like a little reward, or, you know, like I said, having that kind of like coffee afterwards. Like, there are so many different things that you can do, but you have to have all 4 stages of them in order to build a habit. So in this case as well, a habit is defined as something that takes little or no thinking about. So then in order to break a habit, we need to make the cue invisible, we need to make the craving unattractive, make the response difficult, and make the reward unsatisfying. So for example, if you have a habit of, let's just say, for example, you have a big chocolate bar every single night. Now, the first thing is I probably wouldn't just get rid of that. I would probably just swap that for a smaller chocolate bar. Yeah. So again, you know, think smarter, not harder. But if you were looking at kind of removing that habit, then it's about kind of making the cue invisible. If there is something that triggers you every single night to go and eat that chocolate, we want to try and make that invisible. If you can make it invisible. So for example, if that is like finishing your dinner, that is your cue, what we then have to do is make the craving kind of unattractive. So maybe put it, I don't know, a little bit further away, maybe hide it away so it's more of an effort to go and get it and you're less likely to go and get it. Make it, you know, make it difficult for yourself. So in order to change habits, you can also implement something called habit stacking, which is literally where you take your new habit and you stack it on top of an old one. So for example, if it is a goal of yours to start taking supplements and you don't currently take any, obviously that's going to be, you know, you need to start remembering that. So what you could do is leave your supplements maybe by your coffee machine, by your kettle. So in the morning, you'll visually see those supplements and that is your reminder to then take it. So every time you have your morning coffee or your morning cup of tea, you are going to take your supplements. So you're stacking a new habit on top of an old one. And what this is going to do then is just make them, you know, make the new habit a habit within its own right. Small changes over time lead to the biggest results. I cannot emphasize this enough. And not only are your habits and routines going to get you a change, they are also going to help you create a lifestyle and routines that are going to help you maintain those changes as well, whilst building your confidence, building your trust, building that belief in yourself. Because think about it like this, big changes, they're exciting for a week and then they're hard to continue. Once motivation dies down, you think you're doing the right thing because it feels hard, but then it feels too hard and you give up, you stop, you let one thing throw you off track. It's not great. Or you make small changes, they feel pretty insignificant, like you're not changing much, but that means you can implement them every single day. And every time you tick them off, you're building that self-trust, you're building your confidence, you're doing what you say you're going to do. And then they become so natural that you don't even have to think about them. And then you can continue to build on them. And then before you know it, you have a routine and a lifestyle that you want. And you can maintain those goals and you can maintain those results because you've built a lifestyle that allows you to do so. So you know your goals, you know how to change your nutrition, you now know what habits and routines you also need to change and how you're going to do this. So again, like I said, pick 1 to 2 areas and build up on them. Literally plan it out if you want to. So be like, okay, this week I am going to prep a protein source for every meal and I'm going to turn my phone off half an hour before bed. Next week, maybe I'm going to turn my phone off 35 minutes before bed. Maybe I'm also going to plan every dinner for the night. So again, you don't have to jump into these things. And then maybe the week after that, you can then look at, okay, well, now I'm also going to add another 250 ml to every single day of water. Yeah, so that way then you're building on them. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You have to be able to implement these things into your routine. The same with steps. Like you can't just jump to 10k if you're suddenly averaging like 5k. You know, you want to look at, okay, well now I'm on 5k. Okay, let's go to 6. Let's do 6. Let's get that consistency with 6. And then maybe let's jump to 6.5 or 7. And I promise you, if you build on these things like this, you will get to where you want to be. You will. That is literally, there is no secret, but that is the secret, is slowly. So now you've got your goals, you've got your nutrition changes, you've got your habits and routines, and you know how to build on them. Now let's talk about movement. So I can guarantee that the best version of you does move her body in some way, shape or form. Now again, you want to build on this and you want to find a movement that you enjoy. Now, I just want to preface this by saying I genuinely think that every single person in the world should do some form of weight training, because it's not just about aesthetics, but it's actually about making your body stronger for that future version of you. It's about, improving your bone density, improving your muscles, improving your joints, and actually making sure that you can live your life to the fullest for as long as possible. And I saw something on Instagram that basically said, think of your future self like a piggy bank. And every time you do a workout now, you're basically putting like a pound, 10p, a penny, whatever you want into that piggy bank for that future version of you. So you're paying into that bank for the future version of you. And I think that's such a nice way to look at it, because the future you wants to be able to sit down and get up off a chair for as long as possible. She wants to be able to go shopping for as long as possible. She wants to be able to reach into her cupboards for as long as possible. And you can only do that if you start putting the work in now. But aside from that, there will be a form of movement that you enjoy, whether this be, it could walking, it could be cycling, it could be at the gym, it could be Pilates, it could literally be anything you want. Trial everything until you find something that works for you. And don't just do it once, do it twice, do it 3 times, do it 4 times, do different instructors, do different class, do different gyms, do different things, because you will find something that works for you. And when you can, it's literally life changing. And again, if you're starting from scratch, look at doing 1 session a week, then building up to 2, or building it up to 3. Like, again, there is no kind of like right or wrong. You have to do what works for you. There is no point in you planning to do 4 sessions a week if you can keep that up for 2 weeks and then stop. It's much better off that you do 1 session a week and you keep that going forever. If you are someone who is doing strength training, I would 100% recommend getting a program. Obviously, if you want help with that, drop me a message, but genuinely having something to follow. I think the biggest reason that a lot of people don't kind of like the gym and stuff and think that it's really intimidating is because they go in without any idea. They go in literally just doing whatever they want on the day. And then of course you're not going to see progress because it's not strategic. You're not progressively overloading. You're not kind of, you don't really know what you're doing. Whereas actually when you go in with a plan, you have a structure to it, you know why you're doing what you're doing, it is so helpful. Okay, so outside of that, you have your movement, you have your habits, you have your routines, you have your nutrition, you have your goals. The 2 most important other things are your stress and your sleep. So when it comes to stress, there is essentially, there's a way that I like to think of stress. So you have destructive stress and you have productive stress. Your destructive stress feels overwhelming. It feels like you can't move. You don't really know what's happening. Doesn't really have a purpose to it. It feels like it's literally crushing you. It feels like it's suffocating you. But then you have your productive stress, which is actually stretching you. So it feels hard. It does feel uncomfortable, but it feels aligned. It feels uncomfortable, but it feels like you know what the outcome is. You know why you're doing it, and you know that you're going to become a better person and grow as a person because of it. So when it comes to stress management, I think the first things to ensure are, number 1, look at the facts. I think a lot of us get stressed because we start to overthink things and we start to kind of second guess things, or we kind of like preempt things, and actually this doesn't get us anywhere. So if you are feeling stressed, literally write down how you're feeling and then what is actual fact and what's not. What is something that maybe you've kind of not made up in your head, but also something that you've kind of escalated in your head? What is something that you've overthought that you're continuing to then kind of tell yourself and feed into? Like, what is fact and what is not? So that would be the first thing. The second thing when it comes to stress is really, really looking at, am I nailing the basics? Am I taking time for myself? Am I fueling my body? Am I moving my body? Am I getting enough sleep? Because not getting enough sleep is a big stress on your body. Like, what are you doing to actually manage that stress? And I think another thing that is really, really important with that as well is that I know that it can be hard to fit in all those things when you are feeling stressed, but actually by not doing those things, you're making yourself worse. So again, this is something I work on with clients loads because we look at time blocking. So I'll have so many clients be like, but I don't have time for this. But actually it's because they're spending maybe 8 hours a day sat at their desk, but they're not working productively for 8 hours. So as soon as they start to implement that little bit of a break, although it feels like this is not right, it actually means that they can work then so much more productively afterwards. And because they're giving themselves that time, they feel less stressed. Always look at, okay, where can I ask for help? What can I do differently? Do I need to start saying no to things that I'm now saying yes to? Do I need to start maybe, offloading things? Do I need to work more productively instead of for longer? Do I need to put my phone on do not disturb? Do I need to set myself timers? Because a task will take as long as you give it. If you give yourself 3 hours to do something, it'll take 3 hours. If you give yourself an hour, you can get it done in an hour. And I always say this, like, about the gym as well. Like, set yourself a timer, put your phone on do not disturb, and honestly, watch how much more productive you are. Because it's not a case of that you need to do more or you need to spend more time doing these things. Often it's just that we need to not procrastinate. And like I've been a victim of that myself. So that would be the first thing. And when it comes to sleep as well, sleep is so important. You will not feel your best self, and you will not see the progress that you want to and achieve the goals that you want to if you are not getting enough sleep. It is as simple as that. If you are not sleeping, it means that your body cannot recover. You're not giving your muscles time to recover. You're not giving your brain time to recover. You're literally just putting yourself on the back burner all the time. So if you are not currently, I would 100% recommending starting to supplement with magnesium glycinate. So especially as a female, we do not get enough of this in our diets, and so it's something I would recommend every single female supplement. It really helps to kind of calm your nervous system down, and it makes such a difference to your sleep. I would recommend taking it like half an hour before bed. That is the first thing. Second thing I would always look at is no scrolling before bed. So turn your phone off like an hour or half an hour minimum before bed, to make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to unwind, make sure that you've kind of settled down for the day. Another thing you can do is obviously start to kind of like, especially if you work from home, this is something that I've started doing, is differentiate between the end of your working day and the start of your evening. So like I will go and take the dogs out for a walk once I finished work, because for me then I come home and like there's no more work, that's my time. Literally only have your room for like sleeping. So don't watch TV, don't watch films, don't kind of eat in bed, things like that as well, because you want your brain to associate, okay, now we're going to bed, this means we're going to sleep. And also as well, keep like a notebook or something by the side of your bed. So if you are someone who kind of like overthinks things, or maybe you feel like you've got like things on your brain that you want to get out on paper, literally just write them down, because then you can just you can go to sleep. You haven't got to get your phone out and get distracted, like you haven't got to do any of those things. You can literally just go to sleep. So yeah, I would definitely look at supplementing, turning your phone off before bed, having some sort of wind down and some evening routine, making sure you're differentiating between the end of work and your start of your evening. Obviously making sure you're giving yourself enough time to kind of unwind, maybe doing something relaxing like drawing, colouring, reading, meditating, whatever works for you. And then most importantly, for your higher self is going to be your mindset, because you cannot change anything unless you change your mindset. Now, the amazing thing about things like habits is that by doing those daily habits and by doing those daily routines and making those small tweaks, you can literally celebrate your wins. You can build your confidence every single step of the way, because you are doing what you say you're going to do. You can prove to yourself what you're capable of. You can push out of your comfort zone and prove that that is okay and that is good, and you can grow. But you also really have to look at, like I said, your identity. If you are someone who is consistently telling yourself that you can't do things, you're consistently beating yourself up, you're consistently being really hard on yourself, you're going to find it hard to make change. And any changes you do make, they're not going to actually make you feel any different. So mindset is everything as well. If there is something that is holding you back, look at what you can do to overcome that. If, you are consistently stuck in this kind of mindset of like, but I haven't done it before, so why would I now? You get to decide to make now the time that it happens. If you find yourself telling yourself that like, oh, I just can't do it, like it's just too hard, you get to decide that you can do it and that it's not hard. It doesn't have to be hard. Or hard doesn't mean that it's bad. Like things, if you're growing as a person, you're evolving, you're achieving goals, things will get hard, but this is so okay. If things never get hard, it's because you're not trying hard enough. Your goals aren't big enough. What you want to always think is, how can I build my mindset? How can I build my confidence? How can I build my trust? And that is by doing those little things every single day, by doing the things you say you're going to do, celebrating your own wins, being proud of yourself, focusing on what you can do and what you have done, even if there are a million things that you haven't. Yeah, all of these things are the things that are going to build your confidence. They're going to build the way that you feel about yourself more positively. They're going to build that dream version of you who has best relationship with food, loves eating well because it makes you feel good, but also loves going on a night out and going for meals out. That version of you who loves training hard, but also loves sitting on the sofa and doing nothing. That version of you who can literally go into a shop and buy whatever she wants, wear whatever she wants, and know she's going to feel good in it. Who can literally set a goal and know that no matter how hard it gets, no matter how long it takes, she will get there. So I hope that you found this useful. If you have any questions at all, just let me know. But please, 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 the biggest thing that I will say to take away from this is build foundations and build on them. Focus on those small little tweaks that you can make every single day, those things that seem insignificant, to focus on getting that 1% better every day, because over time you are literally going to be a brand new person. Set those goals. Look at where you currently are at and where you want to be. Look at the habits you currently have and where you want to be. Look at the routines you have and where you want to be and how you can bridge this gap. Set those small little milestones along the way to literally pave the way to bridging this gap. Focus on building your mindset, building your confidence, doing a movement that you enjoy, doing things that make you feel good. working productively, working smarter, not harder, and also having that time for yourself, because this is still your life. If you have any questions at all, just let me know.